Welcome back to Who Are the Indigo People series, part 2. Now, if you listened to part 1 and didn't listen to the introduction, I need you to stop this video right now and go back to the playlist and listen to the very first video. There was a little bit of a glitch, and that video didn't get pushed out before the other videos got pushed out. So go back to the introduction. I noticed in my analytics that people were watching video 1 but wasn't watching the introduction, and it's really important that you watch the introduction because I talk a bit about how I found Lori's website and the fact that no one has touched this website for 21 years. The last known update was May 3rd, 2003. So do go back. It's really important that you go back to the first video in this playlist and listen to that. It's only about 7 minutes. So without further ado, we are going to continue with this series and move on to part 2. So welcome back and let's continue. Who Are the Indigo People, part 2. I always knew that I was different, not only in appearance from my peers, but also different on the inside, in my mind and in my thoughts. I would tell my childhood peers things that made perfect sense to me or to an adult, but would go completely over their heads. I was soon labeled a weirdo and shunned. I didn't know it at the time, but most of the stuff that I just knew had to do with the semi conscious realization that I'd been here before. I say semi conscious because the veil this life puts over the connection to higher self is a heavy and distorting one and takes many years and much effort to remove or penetrate. But even when I was very small, I had a sort of been there, done that, now what attitude. The only things that interested me were things that were new and current science, technology, and innovations that made life in the mid 20th century unique and unlike any other place or life that I'd lived before. As I grew older, I had a sense of emerging from a fog. As the reasoning connections were made in my mind, things became clearer and clearer to me. It was a palpable sense. Each day brought more light and understanding into my life. I could almost feel the neurons connecting in my mind. All of these traits are common in elder indigos as well as with the younger ones. The typical indigo has a very high intelligence. It is often masked by underachieving. In my life example, my IQ was higher than the valedictorian in my high school, and my guidance counselor could not understand why I didn't care about making straight A's instead of the mixture of A's and B's that I had. I shrugged. It really wasn't that important to me in the long run. And besides, I had the tools and the will to learn what I wanted to learn, not fill in the blanks of what I should learn. School, to most indigos, is a necessary evil, something to be endured and escaped from as soon as possible. Our way of learning things is holographic, and we intensely dislike merely skimming a subject. We want to know, to remember everything about it. We're wired that way. Our interests are intense and passionate. The internet has been a godsend for me because I now have a vast sum of accumulated knowledge and information at my fingertips. With it, I can drill down to depth unimaginable when I was in school. Another one of the main characteristics of indigos of all ages is an iconoclastic, sometimes cynical outlook on life. We've seen it, done it, show us something interesting and new. And we don't mean cheap popular media entertainment either. We have an inbuilt understanding that what is reported in the media and through official channels is what they want you to know and believe, what not what is necessarily true. We are very aware that 90% of what is in the tube, radio, or paper is pure manufactured nonsense. We seek the other 10%. Our belief that sacred cows make great hamburger sometimes gets us into trouble with people who are rigidly hardwired into their belief system. We ask impossible questions of our religious teachers and ministers, often getting into trouble or even tossed out for being disruptive. That happened to me. Indigo, Queen, Sydney, this one, Indigo Empress. Yeah, got kicked out of a religion, tossed out on my ass when I was in my early 20s. Jehovah's Witness. We do not suffer fools kindly. But then, I went to another religion. They kicked me out of there too. We do not suffer fools kindly, no matter who they are. Authority figures have to earn that authority in the eyes of our youngsters. We want to understand the motivation behind the collar, the badge, the robe, or other power symbol. We can care less about the uniform. We want to understand the wearer. Of course, this can lead to trouble with insecure authority figures, those who rely on their laurels or uniforms to exact obedience. To us, this living this is living a lie, which is abhorrent to us. This does refine itself as we mature, but we also refine our BS detector too. The blunt, unapologetic opinions and disregard for authority of the younger indigos may lead to problems with colleagues, friends, or family. They have to learn that good manners and submission to commonly recognized authority aren't just arbitrary rules, they are the lubricant of social interaction and order, and that kindness isn't a lie. It is a means of social survival. If you're a parent of an indigo child, you must instill this at a very early age. Explain things to us, we'll get it. And because I, God, some dusty authority said so, just doesn't cut it. We are in possession of a very high functioning lie detector capability. We can almost see people or corporate entities being untruthful. Sometimes this disgusts or even enrages us, especially if the lie is harmful to others. As a group, we are difficult to hypnotize unless genuine trust is established. We also have a low tolerance for hard sells, logos, branding, and trends, and extremely difficult to con unless we have become emotionally vulnerable through neglect. But it only happens once if it does happen. If a con artist or a manipulator rips off an indigo emotionally, that individual develops an uncanny nose for spotting them and gleefully unmasking them. In spite of our apparent cynicism, we also have an exceptional sense of humor because we can see the absurd twists of cultural and social interaction. Its expression is rarely base or primitive, but often cynical or dry in expression. We are more than capable of collapsing people into laughter with an offhand remark. That happens to me all the time. I'll just be talking, saying stuff, and then people fall the hell out. And I don't get it. And I laugh with them, but I don't know why they're laughing. That happens to me all the time. I'll just I'm just being blunt, right? I'm just being truthful. I'll just say something and that's it. But I get it. It took me a while to get it, but I still sometimes, I'm always, well, not sometimes, I'm always caught off guard when that happens. Many indigos, both young and old, have great affinity for speculative fiction, science fiction, fantasy, and role playing games and other aspects of fandom. This comes from our inability to fit into the normal social interaction with our peers. We tend to escape with good books. And sci-fi is the most intellectually stimulating and challenging sort of fiction there is, along with whodunits and techno thrillers. What if is one of our favorite questions, and sci-fi plays with it marvelously. Role-playing games also gets us out our skins and the accompanying miseries of adolescence. Our gameplay may taper off as we become adults and enter the working world, but it never quite goes away. Our love of gameplay also helps us to develop excellent pattern detection and recognition faculties. This helps us to easily solve puzzles, be it for recreation or in our jobs with troubleshooting complex problems. We really enjoy playing games like Go or chess. I don't know what Go is. I never played that game, but I love chess. Love it. We are quite capable of planning several steps ahead and imagining branching paths that many adult indigos are computer programmers. Hello, that's me, computer software programmer. Or network system engineers isn't a fluke. It's a puzzle game we get paid big bucks to play. Indigos also like to understand how things work. I was like that since a kid. And won't accept black box explanations for the technology in our lives. Even if we can't fix it ourselves, we like to understand the soul of the item in our possession, be it a cell phone, DVD player, microwave oven, TV, or computer. If we ask you how it works, we really want to know. Because of our abilities in this regard, we have excellent prognostic capabilities. If we say that present conditions will lead to something happening, please be sure to click the next video, right, which is, and sometimes we'd rather not be. Who are I just want to say, Indigo people? As an Indigo, I received a download that I would find a lot of Indigos, like in these virtual worlds and like meta worlds or Second Life or these other places. So, just so you know, okay, if you're listening to this and you got this far and you're listening to this, this is me, Indigo Empress Coach Sydney Chase talking. You can join me because I have the Indigo Blue Realm in a metaverse virtual reality world on Wolf Territories. And I'm going to leave the link in my either somewhere below this video or someplace in the comments. I'm going to leave the link so you can come in and join me there. Okay? Just saying. All right, let me get back to the reading. Our market capacity for seeing the big picture or deeply viewing distant consequences can be a source of misunderstanding and difficulties for us. We tend to think in decades, not weeks, and in long term rather than in short term. We'd rather get rich slow than get rich quick because we know that we can lose it all just as quickly. We like instant gratification as much as anyone else, but we also distrust its quality. We prefer to take our time to let things play out and do things right. We are not shallow planners. Money is just a symbol to us, and we have a hard time understanding why people chase it and its status symbols. We'll drive a car to pieces and happily live in a nice older home. Secondhand furnishings do not bother us if it is functional. We'll use it. I'm that person. I won't turn down anything. I love finding stuff that I can use for a long time, or fixing something and making it work. Another manifestation of indigo gifts is an almost uncanny understanding of different languages. I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday because I said ciao to them, and they were like, "Oh, you're Italian?" Because they couldn't see my face. It was online. I was like, no, I'm not Italian, but I am a New Yorker and I can understand languages. I literally can. I can't speak them, but I can understand. I can understand you sometimes. but don't talk too fast. If you talk too fast, then I get lost in the sauce. But I can read other languages and get the gist of what they're saying. It's crazy. I never understood what that meant, but when I first found um, Laurie Johnson's writings here, that's when I was like, oh, that makes sense now. So we have an almost uncanny understanding of different languages, even without formal training. It is almost as if the audible layer of the language has been made transparent to us, and we can see and understand the inner intent of the speaker. This applies to animals as well. We also have a very good musical ear. Yes, yes, we do. I do. Both my sons are indigos, and they do as well. Their dad as well. Actually, I think we all, the three of us, me and my sons, had a better ear. Even though he was a musician, the three of us had a better ear than he did. My ex-husband. Um, Along with this innate understanding of languages, indigos are very good at changing their personality shell to suit the person being communicated with. If they are in sales, which can be really tough on an indigo, they are capable of making almost anyone they meet, no matter how diverse they are from the indigo's own background, comfortable. Many of us are left handed or ambidextrous. End of part 2.